This is the review of the episode 7 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not too sure right now which studio is animating these episodes, but in this episode 7, the animation is perfect, everything is super fast paced, the soundtrack is up there. It's really amazing how good this episode was. Just by the title of this episode, we already know that some shit will go down. Assault was the name of this episode. We have Gojo Satoru being assaulted by Jogo. I will start by talking about the two characters that really push the plot of this episode. I will start with Gojo Satoru. If you missed Kakashi from Naruto, you won't be disappointed with Gojo Satoru. He's amazing. He's a very likable character, super charismatic, flashy, funny, serious when he have to be. Is just amazing. When Jogo came to attack my boy Gojo Satoru, he wasn't ready for the heat. This episode was a treat. Let's start. Gojo Satoru, he's extremely cautious and aware of danger. As soon as Gojo Satoru and the villain made contact with each other, he was already analyzing why he was in this empty place. The villain Jogo, he came all fired up and attacking recklessly, but he didn't know that Gojo Satoru was already aware of his tactic. He remained calm and collected, and he studied the situation he was in. He let the villain Jogo get a few hits on him just to see what type of ability he was dealing with. That was very smart. I really liked that detail in the episode. He was taking his time analyzing and predicting the enemy's ability. After Jogo did his show and attacked him recklessly and hit a few blows on him, Gojo Satoru stopped playing. He started attacking and hitting really hard blows in the villain. We could see the impact and how good his hand-to-hand combat is. We also got introduced to his ability, Mugen, Infinity. He was so badass when he explained his special ability. He was taunting Jogo and kind of like joking with him while he was ragging his ass up. That was badass, completely badass. After humiliating Jogo a bit more, he decided to go grab Yuji real quick just to give him some lessons. Within this moment as well, we got introduced to the domain expansion. Jogo activated his domain expansion, Coffin of the Iron Mountain. He basically transformed their surroundings with rock and lava. To activate the domain expansion, the user creates an innate domain made with cursed energy. By doing that, he creates all his surroundings with cursed techniques. Basically, in Jogo's example, when he activated his domain expansion, he created an environment with lava, rocks, and fire. He have full control of those same elements. He can manipulate the fire and the rocks as he pleases. It was also explained that creating the domain expansion consumes a lot of energy. One of the advantages of using the domain expansion is the benefit of the boost of stats due to the environmental factors. So if the user is a fire user and create a lava and fire environment like in the example of Jogo, he will be more powerful. And also, while you are in the domain expansion of a user, is guaranteed that every technique that the user uses will hit you. The only way to counter the domain expansion techniques, you can take the hit using a cursed technique to annihilate the user's technique. Or you can take a more risky approach by getting outside of the user's domain. As Gojo said, is very difficult to do that. And it was also presented that the most effective way to deal with the domain is to lay out your own domain. When two domains are laid out at the same time, the more refined one will dominate their space. And that's exactly what Satoru does. He activates his domain expansion. When Satoru activates his domain expansion, we can clearly see that the place and the surroundings completely change, and Jogo is lost and overwhelmed. with such ability. He's very confused and he doesn't know what's really going on. Satoru gives us a bit of explanation, and his domain expansion basically puts you in the inner world of limitless. Things like perception, communication, every action involved in living is multiplied infinite times. As Satoru said, when granted everything, you can do anything. Savage mode activated. As a good tactician that Satoru is, he started interrogating Jugo to get some information about his agenda. Of course, that didn't go as planned. Hanami, one of the villains, came to Jogo's rescue and just run away with the head of his half-dead companion. Now I will talk a bit about Jogo, the villain that had the bad luck of fighting against Satoru. Jogo, as a villain, he gives the impression that he's careless, but in reality he shows signs of intelligence. He's not just a simple-minded enemy, your average weak villain. We can clearly see through his actions that he is overconfident and imprudent. He was born not to engage against Satoru by himself, but well, when you don't listen, consequences are severe. He's manipulative and deceiving. He's a very cunning bastard. He was trying to get some information on Satoru while he was getting his ass kicked. Another thing that I noticed about him, he is emotional and hot-headed. He was very easy for Satoru to get his bad side to trigger real quick. He is a proudful, cursed spirit that doesn't like the idea of getting his ass kicked by the savage Satoru, and he really took the beating to the heart. He was feeling very hurt by the ass kick. He did a big sin. When you engage in fight, you should never come unprepared, and he was severely unprepared to fight Satoru, and he paid the consequences by just leaving the fight with his head left. Nothing less, nothing more. Having these ideas in mind, I want to talk about certain things that I noticed in this episode. We got a brief introduction of the villain squad. The members are Anami, Jogo, Mahito, and Geto. After rescuing Jogo, we can see that Hanami and Geto, they go to this island surrounded by sea and nice weather, where they meet the villain Mahito. Mahito, we can see that he's reading a book named Cloud Giant. I'm very suspicious that his powers or his domain expansion might be related with clouds or some kind of weather-like power. Another thing that I noticed about the villain Mahito, he have two color eyes. I think he's a hybrid of a human and a cursed spirit. I'm not too sure about it, but those are my thoughts. He seemed very tactical and cunning, and he looks that he is the leader of the squad. Also, he have this Frankenstein type of look. It's very creepy, but he's a stylish villain. In this episode as well, we get to know a bit better the villain's agenda. They will attack Satoru on the 31st of October in Shibuya. We also get to know that Yuji will start his new stage of training with Satoru, so he can be ready for the exchange event. I was very pleased with this episode. I'm really hyped with Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm very pleased to see what will happen in the next episode. I hope you like this review. Leave your like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you think that Gojo Satoru is a savage.